What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 167, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today's episode is going to be navigating the BYEMAGGEDON Part 2 waiver wire here heading into Week 14, and the fantasy playoffs are 1 week away, guys. So there's 6 teams that are out. You have the Baltimore Ravens, Denver Broncos, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, Washington Commanders. I'm going to try and find you 8 players, each different position. I'm going to give you a couple different players here that are owned outside the top 50 in redraft leagues that you guys can pick up, plug and play, especially with all the bye weeks that are going on, and players you should be looking ahead for the fantasy championship and schedules to look ahead for. So before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscription, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I'll be live all weekend long this week. And if you guys can't make any of the live shows, you could always drop any comments you want down below. It does not have to pertain to this video. It is one of my goals as a content creator to help you guys win your weekly matchup and get you that ultimate goal of that championship. And we are so close, guys. Let's dive into my Week 14 waiver wire top 8 pickups. Starting off with waiver wire pickup number 1, QB that you should be targeting that I've been talking about for weeks now is Russell Wilson. I had him on a smash start last week, guys, as well, and he absolutely crushed the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's currently averaging 17.8% and only owned in 36% of leagues. This needs to change ASAP. He is playing the Cleveland Browns this week. You just saw what happened on Monday Night Football. Jameis Winston threw for 4 touchdowns and 500 yards in that game. I was absolutely blown away. But when you look at the other side, the Cleveland Browns gave up 41 points as well. So Jaleel McLaughlin looked good on the ground. Bo Nix still had 300 through the air. You know, Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton got involved in the game. And now you're going to have Russell Wilson, George Pickens. This is going to be another high-flying Russell Wilson game here that you should be targeting him on the waiver wire now, especially with all the buys that are there. And if you're targeting him on the waiver wire, not just for tonight, you have to look ahead here as well, too. They're going to get Philly in Week 15, which is going to be a tough matchup. But then you get Baltimore and KC, Week 16 and 17, who give up tons of passing yards. So I'm willing to spend 15 to 20% if you have any waiver wire FAAB left, or about a top 5 to 6 priority spot on him to pick him up, because this man is absolutely on fire, and this defense is going to give them the ball more opportunities every single time for the rest of the way. And it's a great pickup down the stretch. Second QB you should be targeting here is going to be Will the Mayonnaise Levis. And I've been talking about this, if you're a subscriber to my channel, for like 4 to 5 weeks now, that you should be targeting Will Levis down this stretch. So right now he's averaging 12.7. He's only owned in 12% of leagues, which is absolutely bonkers. QB 30, 1,659 passing yards, 172 rushing yards. Also missed 4 games, so you could add those numbers in as well. 12 total TDs and 9 picks. Got to clean up the interceptions a little bit. But over the past 4 games since he's been back, he's only thrown 2 picks. So not that bad there. Now, guys, you're going to get the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, who are 32nd versus the quarterback, giving up 22.2 points per game, 284 pass yards they allow per game, which is dead last as well. They are dead last versus the wide receiver. You have Calvin Ridley in a revenge game here. You have Nick Westbrook, Akine popping off, Tyjae Spears, Tony Pollard out there, and they struggle versus the run as well. This is going to be a pickup that you should probably spend 20 to 30% on, because you can start him for the rest of the way in fantasy football. You get Jacksonville. You get Cincy, who was just destroyed. You get Jacksonville again in the finals, and you get the Indianapolis Colts. And all these games are good weather games. You avoid the snow in every single one of them. It's going to be a perfect light them up, knock them down. Will Levis is startable the rest of the way, and people do not know this in fantasy football. It's crazy. Go get this man. I brought it up at the beginning. Waiver wire player number 3, QB number 3, you should be targeting, but it's going to be a little tougher road for him down the stretch here. But Jameis Winston. I mean, when you're throwing for 500 yards, 58 attempts, I know he threw 4 TDs as well to go with it, but 3 picks along with it. Threw a little rushing upside there as well. 40-point fantasy game. This man is slinging it. Jerry Jeudy was on his revenge game. They were balling out. There was no Cedric Tillman out there either. We could add him back next week to go along with Elijah Moore and David Njoku. And honestly, you get the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 14, which is a very tough defense. But at the way it's going and the way the Bengals just throttled the Pittsburgh Steelers defense as well, obviously there's better weapons there in Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow as well. But you might be able to start this guy for the rest of the way just because he's a straight gunslinger. So he's QB 28, only owned in 16% of leagues, 1,763 passing yards, 57 rushing, 7 picks, 12 TDs. But you're going to get Pitt, you're going to get KC, kind of rough matchups. Then you get Cincy and Miami in the last 2 weeks, and Miami could be out of it by then. So Jameis Winston could legitimately be, honestly, a fantasy championship winning QB down the stretch with the schedule that they have, depending on how the Miami Dolphins, if they win or not, play out. So I got the hiccups at the time. Player number 4, running back number 1, the league winner that you should be spending 100% of your FAAB on, or top waiver priority, whatever it is, on getting Isaac Guerendo. So rookie out of Louisville, by the way. So he's been behind CMC, behind Jordan Mason. CMC's now out 6 weeks, back on IR. His season's pretty much over. Jordan Mason sprains his ankle late in the game. He's headed to IR. Now you are going to have Guerendo, who is averaging on the season as a rookie on 42 attempts, a 5.86 yard per carry. And you're going to be the focal point of this offense. So you can look at all these numbers. 3.5, obviously he's been behind. Snap share 23%, target share 1%. Obviously he hasn't been out there. So, but still, look at it. 246 yards, 19 receiving, 42 attempts. That 5.86 is massive. He has breakaway speed. He was the fastest running back in the combine coming out. And now you're going to get Chicago, LA, Rams, Miami, Detroit the rest of the way in a Shanahan system. Go spend every single amount of money you have to go get Isaac Guerendo, because I'm calling it right now. He is going to win people fantasy championships down the stretch. And there's no better timing with BYEMAGGEDON coming to get a running back than him. Player number 5, running back number 2 that you should be targeting. And most people are going to think that Jeremy McNichols is not the running back that you should be targeting in Washington, but it actually 100% is. So if you look at the stats from last game and you didn't watch the game, right, you're going to see on the top of your sleeper app, or, trending, whatever it is, whatever app you use, you're going to see Chris Rodriguez up there, who rushed for 13 carries, 94 yards. This was in garbage time, guys. This is where Brian Robinson Jr. and Jeremy McNichols were sitting down. So if the game wasn't a blowout versus the Titans like it was, you wouldn't have seen him out there. So I'm going after Jeremy McNichols, especially if I own Brian Robinson with Austin Eckler on IR, because his season's over. You get your backup running back who might split time, whatever it is, but he's still going to be ahead of Chris Rodriguez in the count. That's why they didn't play him. So currently RB56, 4 points per game, 25% snap share, no target share because he's been the third running back the whole time. 249 yards, 7 receiving yards, but a 5 yards per carry average and 4 touchdowns to go with it. So when you're looking ahead, they do get a bye week this week. So this is more of a play ahead. But you're going to get New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta, Dallas. And if anything were to happen to Brian Robinson, you're probably going to be looking at a low-end, mid-RB2 level running back. And I'd be willing to spend 5 to 10% on the waiver wire and 10 to 15% if I own Brian Robinson, because the Commanders are still fighting for a playoff spot. That's a given. So you're going to get a possible handcuff that's still out there available in a good offense. And when you have Jaden Daniels, this is what you want. So if you're looking to target a running back, it was tough for me to find another running back to target. So this is who I went with here. I don't really love it. I don't really hate it, but it is a great stash piece and a great 50-50 piece if you need it as well. Player number 6, wide receiver number 1, you should be targeting. And I've been talking about this guy for like 3 weeks now. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has not just become a flex play. He's moving into wide receiver 2 territory here, guys. So he's averaging 8.7. Snap share was 100% last week. 10.9% target share, going up and up and up in that category as well. And only owned in 18% of leagues. Make it make sense when you've dropped 21 points, 13 points, 24 points in the past 3 weeks. And like I said, when it comes to Will Levis here, you're going to get the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is why I'm targeting these guys. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 32nd versus every single thing almost. Not 32nd versus the wide receiver anymore. They're 30th versus the wide receiver, but 32nd versus the quarterback, 32nd versus the running back. They can't stop anything. And when they're giving up 181 pass yards a game, and this guy's seeing a target average of about 6 targets a game and about a 70-yard average to go with a touchdown a game. His past 3 games, he has 4 TDs. This is a big body receiver. Will Levis loves looking at this guy. He's never going to come off the field. That is wide receiver 1 production, 100% snap share. And when you get Jacksonville, Cincy, Indy, and Jacksonville, he's going to be a flex play the rest of the way, even in competitive leagues, because the volume he's seeing is too much. And I'd be willing to spend 30 to 40% if you have it left, or about a top 3 to 5 priority to pick up this man the rest of the way. Player number 7, wide receiver number 2, is none other than old man Adam Thielen. So if you look at it, he missed 7 games with the injury, so wide receiver 90 overall. 11.5 points per game, 73% snap share last game. Got a little better, got a little healthier off the injury coming back in week 12. Target share 15.7%. He's only owned in 15% of leagues, and he just dropped 24 points on Tampa with 10 targets, 8 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. So even if you're looking ahead, you know Carolina's going to be playing from behind. It is a tough matchup versus Philly this week. But after this week, you get Dallas, Arizona, Tampa. Dallas, Arizona, Tampa. Those are 3 smash plays for Adam Thielen. You know Carolina's going to be playing from behind in most games. Bryce Young has kept them in both these games. He's almost on a 3-game, 4-game win streak here. And it's crazy to me. Like, they had KC, they had Tampa, they had both those games won. And it's like a change of the guard, and sitting Bryce Young has made him better, and this offense looks better. And if you can go get Adam Thielen right now, go spend 20, 25%, possibly 30%, because his schedule is great and volume is king, and he's going to see 8 to 10 targets a game from here on out. Player number 8, and the only tight end that I could really find off the waiver wire that I love to pick up this week that is not really owned, and he's owned only in 50% of leagues, so he's right on that cusp for my 50% waiver wire video, is Pat Freiermuth. And he's averaging 8.8 points per game, 67% snap share, 14.5 target share to go as well. Just went up against Cincinnati Bengals with 7 targets, 6 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And you're about to get the Cleveland Browns now, who we just watched on Monday Night Football, a shootout game. And we found out exactly what I already knew, that Russell Wilson can sling it. So you got George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. These are going to be the focal points of the passing game for the rest of the way. When you're looking at the Cleveland Browns, you could say they had, great versus the tight end, but the Broncos don't even have a tight end all year. So it will be a different look. And if you just look back to the last Cleveland game they played, which was in the snow, which you can't really put together, he had a 10-point game there. So if you're looking for a tight end to pick up who's, a top 15 tight end on the year that's still out there on the waiver wire, that's the second option in a passing offense that can throw for 400 yards a game we just saw, why are you not going out and spending 10 to 15% to pick up Pat Freiermuth the rest of the way? I'm doing it, and then you're going to get a tough matchup with Philly in week 1, but then you get Baltimore, KC, Cincy, the last 3. Those are the 3 worst teams versus the tight end. This man is going to be a great start for the playoff stretch, and it's absolutely unbelievable that he's not owned in more than 50% of leagues to me. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my top 8 players that are owned in 50% and under of leagues that are going to be actual plug and plays and have a great playoff stretch for you. Before we head out, guys, as always, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscription. Turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. Later today, I'll be switching up this week. I'll be doing my defense kickers. Then I'll do my smash starts. And then tomorrow I will crank out all of my rankings, so all those are out for you guys. And then I'm probably going to miss all the startup sims for the rest of the year. Losing all my files was absolutely crazy. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope to see you guys in the next video. SleezBall out.